welcome to Conversations in the Den. This week, this is my co-host Jennifer Wolfenden, and this week our guest is the amazing Diane Lauzon.
Hi.
Hey, Diane.
How are you?
Good. How are you? You look amazing.
Oh, thank you. It's a beautiful day
I
today.
know. I read the list of all of the things you've overcame, and I'm like, wow, holy smokes.
Yeah, she looks amazing. Yeah,
She
and that's
does.
the thing. Women, we are so, oh Lord, if men had to even go through half of what we go through,
Yeah, yeah,
you know, like they don't even have a clue.
Yeah.
yeah. So,
But anyway,
Diane, how old are you now? Because I understand you overcame all of these things, or you're still going through them at 38. Is that, did I understand correctly?
So I'm 43 now.
Okay, so that
okay,
took
so
five.
you started having symptoms of this. So we're gonna talk first about your um leaky gut syndrome.
Yeah. It actually goes back, starts back to when I was in my early 20s.
Oh
Um,
wow, okay.
yeah, and so it actually is quite a long standing journey of which continued to be a pivotal experience for me, and then through a lot of major transformation when I was 38, which was 5 years ago, when I started to really see the light at the end of the tunnel. So
Yeah.
So
You guys talk a little
tell us
bit
from the
more about this.
beginning. Tell us from.
Yeah, I mean, leaky gut is something that we've only recently started hearing about.
mhm. Yeah. So truthfully, and I really believe that, conversations like the ones that you have with these amazing, amazing souls that I have been looking at all and listening to so many of the stories, and I almost feel like I don't even know if I have a story. But everyone has a story, right? And there's always a bit of someone else's story in your story. And so being
Yeah,
able to have a platform like this where I could just share from my heart,
Yeah.
just my experiences, no medical claims, no anything like that, but truly just my experience. I know that
Absolutely.
I can help one more person, that then I've done my
Yes.
job, right? We're all in it together. As we know
Yes.
now, specifically over the last several months.
yes, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So Maria, you were asking me, when did this all start? So did you want me to maybe start with just the beginning of my experience and how I started to
Yeah,
get on?
just the symptoms, like what initiated your understanding that you had this syndrome?
Hmm. So in my early 20s, I actually went through, thank goodness for finding a naturopath, in going through this, understanding of the body. And so when I was in my early 20s, I actually was dealing with a lot of health issues, and that's when it started, in terms of my digestion, in terms of just this feeling of unwell. And it was because I had taken birth control. And so, because of the birth control adverse effects within me, my body started to get compromised. And then I was diagnosed when I lived in Vancouver through UBC, like through the hospitals, with celiac disease. And so, because of that, my body was malnourished. And, the amount of food and supplements and vitamins and everything I was putting in my body, and without really understanding how to heal and how to go through more of the natural way of getting through, your body can heal
Hmm.
itself. I was dealing with a lot of issues for very many years,
Okay,
and then through
okay,
um
so sorry. Celiac disease, is that the one where you cannot have gluten?
exactly, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And really, I mean, scientifically, I won't get into the science, but really what it is that your villi in your intestines kind of breaks, and so the natural process of eating amazing nutrient dense foods and your body doing its thing to then put it where it needs, was not happening. And so that's where, I was thin, I was anemic, I was going through a lot of stuff, and also it also has a lot to do with obviously the brain gut connection.
Yeah,
And
Yes.
so
so
you were experiencing it in your intestines, or like brain fog and all those other things.
brain fog, and feelings just of super unwell, a lot of anxiety, just feeling physically and emotionally and mentally compromised.
Oh,
So that's where, when not dealt with properly, years and years and years. And then so to bring it to more of the emotional component and the mental component, with going through a lot of stress and a lot of like emotional traumas in my life, through my late 20s into my 30s, and through my 30s, was not helping anything to heal, right? Because of the gut brain connection. And so because of a lot of emotional trauma and experiences that I had been in, we've all been through some experiences, the body obviously responds, right? Absolutely. And so that's where the leaky gut had come in. And then with another naturopath I was working with when I was 38, who had identified me as a doctor with systemic inflammation, with adrenal burnout, and with leaky gut. So that was really the beginning of, hey, I really, really, really need to take a look at this and see what's happening.
So at that point, do they start giving you probiotics?
Yeah, and I had already been taking probiotics, but there's only so.
In what form? In pill form or
yeah.
in food?
Yeah, in pill and food. So absolutely. And so through that was at a time where it was almost like that pivotal time in my life where I just prayed. I prayed. I prayed. I was walking my dog and I prayed. And I remember standing there. I remember it was a Tuesday, and I remember saying, help me, what do I do? And I literally had a conversation in my own little den on the sidewalk, right? So it was my own little conversation in the den, and I'd stopped on the middle of the sidewalk with my dog, and I said,
you can talk to him anywhere. He's everywhere.
Tuesday afternoon, 1:00. Look who's available. And so I did. I said, help me. I will notice. I will pay attention. I will be a vessel of learning, and I will see it through. Man. And that is when, so for me, like where I am now, and the other thing, just as a side note of like who I am as well, is I've also been writing as an inspirational writer and author through when I was living in Vancouver, through a spiritual journey of my own in my late 20s. So 10 years prior, really understanding, looking at life as blessings rather than the burdens, and really looking at life through this different spiritual lens. And so what I like to say to people as I'm working with them today is you could look at life and see life from a different spiritual lens, but if you can't get your tushy out of bed because you're not physically feeling well, there has to be a connect. There has to be a mind, body, soul connect. There has to be, my physical body needs to get out of bed for me to serve.
Yes.
So for a decade of my life, my spiritual essence was, flying high, vibing on a high level, really on that, that vibration of spiritual goodness. And my tushy couldn't get out of bed. And so I was physically unwell. And so that's when, a decade of kind of that learning. And then at 38 years old was when I said, okay, hey, listen, let's have a conversation. I really know that I need to do something now, and the time is now. I will learn. I will be of service. And that is when I was introduced to the power of our body having an ulterior fuel source over what we're typically used to fueling. And that's the work that I now do with educating people. And I don't want to say just women, but my focus is women because of what I went through, and because of my age, that I really do attract a lot of women who are looking for that energy. They're looking for, and again, no medical claims on any of our conversation, but they're looking for, hey, I'm having hot flashes. Hey, I can't get rid of that last 10 pounds of fat. Hey, I can't sleep. I can't wake up. I can't get through the day. I'm tired. I'm fatigued. I can't remember where I put my keys. I can't remember, this, that, and the other. I've got brain fog. I've got no mental clarity. I really want to get that like 8 out of 10 back. I'm running at a 4 out of 10. And so all of those things came into my life when I asked. So I asked that day, that afternoon, and this is when I was introduced to this technology that I didn't hear anything about. I started to incorporate it into my lifestyle, and then that 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10, 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10.
And what is it called? What is this called, Leslie?
So if this is pure therapeutic ketones, it is, our bodies run on 2 fuel sources, right? So our bodies, for the most part, 99.9% of us are running on carbohydrates that turn to glucose. Protein.
I'm sorry, I have to apologize to you. I called you Leslie Diane.
That's
sorry.
That's okay.
So it's called ketones.
Yes.
please explain that to me? Because some of the stuff you're talking about, I am totally interested in it.
Yeah. So ketones, so simple, right? The science is strong. The doctors know what they're talking about. I knew how I felt. So I started incorporating this when I never even knew what it was. I was introduced to it through a friend of mine who sent me a text in a message a few days after my conversation. Saying, hey, I have something on my hands I think you'd like. I know you love nutrition. I know your story. He followed my writing. And so it was a trusted source. And so he introduced me to this technology. And what it is so simple. I drink it. I drink it every day. Our body and our brains run on two fuel sources. They run on glucose, which is everyone's running on glucose because we don't give ketones to our body. Our alternative and clean energy, insulin-free energy, is ketones. So if you've heard of all of the rave now over the last 5 years, since this conversation started to get bigger and bigger and bigger, literally through the company that I have been involved in, is our body and our brains run better on ketones, which is the alternative of glucose. So there's two fuels our bodies run on: glucose, which is the mass, and ketones, which is if you go on the ketogenic diet and you stop eating carbohydrates and you stop eating sugar, and you keep on doing that for a window of time, it's like a flip of a switch. Your body goes, wait, I don't have anything that I can make glucose with. I don't need to make insulin. What's going on? And then you flip the switch, and all of a sudden your body, as a byproduct of fat metabolism, creates ketones. And so a lot of people are doing the ketogenic diet, but what I've been incorporating in my life are bioidentical ketones, which means I don't do the diet, but I actually have a healthier lifestyle because I've been giving my brain what it's thriving on. So before ketones, I had 5 coffees in the morning. I would eat every 2 hours because I was hangry. My energies were like this. My sleep was really awful. So waking up was a nightmare.
5 coffees, wow.
Yeah. And so I teach women, I teach men and women. My husband's been drinking it since day one, but I teach women that we can actually get our lives back. We can get our day back. We can get our energy back. We can get that joie de vivre. We can get that energy and that life back. All we have to do is, if we're a Lamborghini, what type of fuel would you put in your Lamborghini? So if we're this fabulous, sexy Lamborghini and we're giving it diesel fuel, what are you expecting the diesel?
Well, we mean the premier.
Right? So that, yeah.
You know what, Leslie? It's interesting that we're having this conversation because just recently I was reading my Bible and I was looking at all the, how Solomon built this amazing temple to God, and it's just beautiful and it's fabulous and it's amazing. But where does God reside today? Inside of us, right? We have our spirituality, he is inside of us. So why aren't we building a great, fabulous, beautiful house for him to house his spirit, And so that's what came to me. Like, we've got this body, and I mean, me included, I failed to realize that I have work to do. It is my job to make sure it is proper for housing the spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting too, because I have one of my favorite books, and is, have you ever heard of the book, The Rhythm of Life by Matthew Kelly?
No.
Oh, you love it. He's a Catholic priest that wrote this book, and I found it, I think 15 years ago. And in the book, it's the most beautiful book. It's called The Rhythm of Life by Matthew Kelly. And he says, are you creating decisions and making decisions for the best version of yourself or a lesser version of yourself? And so for so many years, we're thinking about outside of us, but as you just said, Jennifer, like, it starts with the inside, right? So how can you do well if you don't feel well? How can you, it's just like anything else. And it's almost like those old, grandma used to say, you are with what you eat. You are what you eat, drink, and think. Yeah. Right. So better fuel for the body leads to better energy, leads to better thoughts, leads to better decisions. And so one of the things that I've noticed when I've been working with people, and I've worked with thousands of people all over the world in the last 5 years, is my absolute, passion, mission. That's my service. It's something I was always looking for. And I used to say to my brother, I just wish I'm going to wait, and I have perseverance, and I know that it's coming, that I will be doing the work that I always wanted to do, and also be able to create a life around that so I can keep on doing even more of that. And that's what I've created because of my story. We all have a reason for where we are, right? And one of the other beautiful conversations with Tara that I know that you had done, and she said, you know, we're all meant to be exactly where we are, and once we realize that, and what could we do because of that, right?
Yes.
So how can we give of ourselves
Yeah.
because of where we are at
Yes.
as a voice? And like even with the conversations in the den is exactly that. How can my story of, you know, adversity, and again, I looked at and listened to so many of the other amazing interviews, and I
Yeah.
almost felt, you know, and I said, oh my gosh, am I worthy of this conversation? And I thought I wouldn't be here if it wasn't meant to.
Absolutely, of course, exactly, because
Absolutely.
this is where you're meant
We're
to be.
just, yeah, we're just thrilled to have you. Diane, tell me this. At 38, something clicked inside of your head.
Yep.
Something clicked. And what was that I think you said the moment where it clicked was when you saw a naturopath and they diagnosed you with
Mm-hmm.
leaky gut syndrome. So that was sort of like was that your epiphany of, oh my gosh, I'm sick. I'm really sick. When was that epiphany?
Experiencing.
And tell me, when that clicked, how did you move forward?
So that's where it was the decision, right? So it was a decision, and I want to say it's almost so here. I want to say it was fear, but I also understand fear is good, right? If you have a check engine light on in your car,
Yeah.
you don't take the engine light off to cure it.
Yeah.
There's a
No.
reason why the check engine light is on in your car, and
You gotta go get that checked out.
for me, and I'm getting chills even saying that because I've never even used that analogy.
Yeah.
And you're like, I need to check, why is the engine light on? Not,
Yes.
well, let me just take the light bulb out because I don't have time for this right now. I'm sure the car will keep on driving. Well, it's never going to have the check engine light on because there's no engine light to have
Yes.
on. So for
Yes.
me, it was exactly that. I remember at first I walked out not empowered, because and I'll tell you one of the things that she said when I first walked in, when she said, okay, I have all of your results, come on in for the second appointment. She looked at me and she said, so I have a question for you. Are you planning on having children? And at first I was like, well, I'm not. I'm 38, but why are you asking me? And now I kind of want to know why, and maybe I do, right? So I kind of had this defensiveness because she said, in where you are, and she was being lovely. She's actually someone who is now a customer of mine, you know, 5 years later, working with, you know, understanding the product. And but when she said that, I realized that was where I'm like, wow, my body is not running at the you know, at the level it's supposed to be running.
Optimum.
Yeah. And to even go further with that, with your question, Jennifer, was I had realized I took a place of empowerment. As I walked out, I said, okay, how did I get myself here? What thoughts have created an environment of my physical body to be compromised? Because I don't think it's all just to do with food. I think it all has to do as well with the emotional connection,
So
the
many,
mind, right?
yeah.
And so that is where and then that's where I said to myself, and I realize if I don't make a decision and if I don't make the changes now, what would that road look like? So it's like the Matthew Kelly. Am I making decisions for the best version of myself or a lesser version of myself? And I had to stand there and say, what are the best decisions moving forward? Then I did. I had the conversation, and then it literally came in. I didn't look on Google. I didn't say how to help leaky gut. I didn't even have time. And that is when the information and packets of ketones came from Beverly Hills, California, from my friend's house to my house. Didn't know what it was. And so I claimed openness, and I said, I will be a vessel of learning. And now over the last 5 years, I have been learning, and I've been teaching, and I've been sharing my story to help some other people have hope that there is a story better for them. And that's been the work that I've been doing for the last 5 years, only because it was helping me first.
So
right?
Diane,
Yep.
what symptoms were you experiencing? What actual symptoms were you experiencing?
Absolutely. So I had massive brain fog. I had complete fatigue. I was always starving. I had, and again, I'm not going to say that ketones cures anything. So that we won't put the two of them together. But I was dealing with a lot of anxiety. I would wake up at 4 a.m. I couldn't get back to sleep. I had panic attacks. I literally had been living off of coffee all morning to keep me going. So I know that the adrenal burnout was self-inflicted. And so
what was happening in your life at the time? You were working full time. You were like, what was happening in your life?
Yeah. So I was, which is a very good question. So in a very open answer. And when I was talking about, you know, the emotional connection, okay, it's not just what I'm eating. I was going through a lot of financial crises. I was an entrepreneur. I was dealing with working, just making ends meet. I was actually dealing with, a contract role that I had taken through a referral. So I was dealing with a contract that had ended, and I was like, what am I going to do now? I need to go look for work. And then a contract came back in, but through that contract for I would say about 5 or 6 months, I was actually dealing with some like sexual assault in the contract. So my energy was going down, and I was dealing with a lot of cortisol and a lot of hormone imbalance. So that's where
that sounds quite nasty. I'm sorry,
yeah.
Diane.
So it's not something that I honestly ever really like overly share, but if I'm talking about how I can help other people, I was going through massive adrenal dysfunction, massive cortisol ups and downs, financial. So my root chakra was swaying in the wind, right? So that's where, and I was compromised physically, so it was hard to get back up, right? So it was almost like it was this whole tsunami of everything. And so that's where my body started to answer to me, hey, right? Your thoughts are creating dis-ease in the body.
Yes.
And I was already, malnourished already, having celiac and maybe not eating the proper foods and not, cross-contamination. So it was everything together that.
Yes, we often
one
say
thing that led to another place of better that.
Well, one of the things we have really found in this in this journey of having these conversations is that it really is a compilation of balance in all aspects of our life: our soul, our spirit, our emotions, our mental health, like so many things that cause disease in our body.
Yeah. And it's interesting.
And once we can get a grasp on all of those things and start fixing them, whether it's counseling, eating properly, getting rid of things out of our life that are causing us stress, all of those things really assist in giving our life, our bodies their life back.
Yeah. And even just to even like piggyback off what you're saying, I knew that like you said, it's more, there's a lot of different moving parts, right? And so for me, one of the other focuses that I have as a leader in my career is not only to help women, nutritionally and physically and emotionally and mentally through the power of what ketones are for brain health, but also because of my journey of lack of self-reliance. So being in that environment where, if I look back on the last couple of decades, not from now, but like back in the day, everything does tie into itself, right? So those feelings of lack of unworth created lack of healthier choices with relationships, lack of healthier choices with staying somewhere where I felt not self-reliant financially, where I could have been able to say, hey, you know what, I'm out. So now one of my biggest whys, because we all know, if you have a strong enough why, you can get through any how. One of my number one focuses outside of, the whole emotional, physical, and mental component with women is financial. How to lead leaders to lead, how to lead women to lead in their own life, how to learn how to be a self-reliant woman so that your choices are made out of empowered energy and not out of this need or devastation or feeling of desperation. And so I went through all of that, right? So this is just a half an hour conversation, but many parts of when I was in a lack of self-reliance, the decisions I made were based on that energy, right? And that is why I was everywhere that I was.
So today, 5 years later, tell us about you, and tell us about overcoming all. Well, compare Diane to 5 years ago and 5 years today, and tell us about today, and tell us about amazing you, because you look great. You don't look like you're suffering from any bodily diseases.
I feel amazing. I feel like I'm aging backwards. So since
you get that Benjamin Button, do you?
Oh yeah. So now I feel amazing. I feel the strongest I've ever been, the strongest physically, emotionally, mentally, and financially.
Wonderful.
I'm married. I've been with my husband for 7 years. So he was with me through the beginning parts.
Yes.
It was when we first met that I was going through this, and his support and his energy and his just amazingness and journeying through with me has been profound. So we've been married for 2 years. We eloped in Sedona, Arizona,
Nice.
on this beautiful spiritual journey. And I have been focused full time on teaching the education around ketone technology and how to utilize that. So I've been building global community around education. It's been phenomenal. I feel like I'm in service every single day. My writing, I'm also still writing. I write weekly smiles under my brand, Lucy Smiles. So lucysmiles.com. I could send the link as well too. So just inspiring people to really look at life from blessings rather than burdens. And we all have things going on. So you're not exempt. We're not exempt. I'm certainly not exempt. But how can we also,
everyone has something.
Everyone, every day, right? And so I really am all about who are you hanging out with. So my circle of influence is very empowered. I really pay attention to the conversations that are happening around me because I will be that conversation. And so now I love where I'm at. And I really believe that I have such gratitude every single day for every single component, every single person, every experience, every circumstance, every challenge has really led me to be and embody an authentic voice for other people to not feel
Isn't
alone.
it amazing how we have to go through all of this to find ourselves?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So Diane, earlier we talked about your naturopath saying, "Do you want to get pregnant?" Where did that go?
Oh no, I still have to have it. No, I'm not. I was never looking to have my own child. I mean,
Why did you ask? So why did she ask that?
because of where my body was at physically,
I see. I
because
see.
of
Oh, so
where
she
my
was
body
looking
was.
at hormones and things of that nature.
Yeah, just saying if you did want that, then we'll have a lot of work to do. And so,
Okay.
but that was the pivotal moment where I thought, wow, that was something that resonated with me to say my body is compromised and we need to do some work, not to have a baby, but to have my own self back.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
And so walk us in a day in the life of Diane. Like you wake up after 7 6 7 hours of sleep.
I get a lot of sleep. I love sleep. So I'll be in bed by 10:30. I'm up by 7. Most of my day is hanging out with my 2 rescue dogs and my husband. My husband also works from home. So we've been home workers before COVID.
Okay.
So we're still together.
Okay.
You've made it through COVID.
We made it through well before COVID. We'll be good. And so truly my day is, I do morning rituals. So I have my phone off at night. I turn it right off, no Wi-Fi, turn my phone off. Anthony and I wake up. One of us takes the dogs for a beautiful walk. We live here in Port Credit, so we're right near the conservation. Beautiful morning.
Beautiful. I know that area. Yes,
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. And so I wake up, I have my high fat coffee every morning. I have 1 coffee a day, not 5. I do meditation. We do
So when you say high fat coffee, what does that mean?
So we have something called a keto cream, which is a functional fat technology with DNA repair, collagen, and high healthy fats to wake up the brain. So that satiates me in the morning. So I wake up, I have one keto cream. It's a product that we have that is multi-patented, that just wakes my brain up in the morning. And
now, can that be found in any foods?
Yep, coconut oil, MCT. Yep. So you can make your own. You could do butter with coconut oil. You can make your own high fat coffee. I just choose the one that I have through my the company because of the DNA and the collagen and
Okay, so like what about like eating avocado or?
Yeah, you could absolutely. I don't eat until lunch though, so I do intermittent fasting. I don't eat breakfast. So I allow my body to do her healing. She's not hungry. She's still doing some stuff in the morning. So then I drink ketones every day. So I have my ketones mid-morning, turn my phone on after I've done my gratitude, my journaling, my meditation. My dog walks, my just chilling out with the puppies for about an hour or so in the morning. And then I open up my ready to give office. And then during the day, I'm home all day, Zooms all over the world, building communities everywhere, just sharing the education, sharing stories, supporting my team, supporting my customers and anyone who's looking to understand how better can show up for them. And being of service, that is it. And I spend a lot of time walking my dogs. So they're very active.
That is something that we all need to understand. We are all here for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Every one of us is here to give a service.
Yes.
And we don't necessarily know what that service is. We may
Hmm.
think, oh, I want to be an accountant, but are we thinking about it because we want to make money, or are we thinking about it because we want to serve something?
Or we
Yeah.
want to help other people with their money.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Like we have to remember that, God didn't put us here just to make money.
Yeah.
He put us here to be of service. And
Absolutely.
even whether if you're a musician, you can be helping people heal through your music.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's so many different ways.
Mm-hmm.
But, when we're young, we're not thinking about that. We're not thinking about our purpose. We're not
Yeah.
thinking about being of service
Yeah.
Hmm.
necessarily, unless maybe we want to be a doctor or a nurse.
Yeah.
But there's so many ways to be of service. And I feel blessed to be of service in this way right now. I
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
mean, I worked in finance for 15 years.
Wow.
I never it was never something that I wanted to do. It was just kind of how I was led.
Yeah.
So when I was 25, I started working in finance. Then I wanted to be an interior designer because I always thought a home is your spot. That's your comfort space.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And so that was my desire. But in the midst of trying to do that, my children basically put a kibosh on that because they got sick, and I was living in a city that I knew no one, so I had to take care of my children. In the
Yeah.
process, I ended up back working in the university, and ended up working back in doing finance budgets and financing, and then I ended up my daughter decided to go to school in Toronto. I was living in Windsor at the time. My daughter decided to go to school in Toronto, and so I ended up getting a job at York University,
Oh,
and I
wow.
ended up working for the vice president of finance.
Wow.
This is vice president of finance and chief financial officer. It's like everything I tried to do, I was going east, and everything was pushing me west.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's like, I
And
had
so
no control of that.
I find out that that happens to most of us, Maria.
Yes.
And I think we have to make a conscious and intentional decision to change that course. And Diane, I think one of the things I noticed with your life is that you actually embrace the beauty of walking your dogs. You embrace the beauty of, sipping on that high fat coffee that wakes your brain up. You enjoy your husband. You enjoy your home. You enjoy your surroundings. You actually take pleasure in these things. And we as women, especially, we think we're wasting time, or we don't have enough to do when we're actually stopping to enjoy those things. And so for me, I get filled up doing those things and I enjoy them. And now I see that you enjoy them. And I think one of the things we need to help women to understand, men too, but I'm not sure how to speak to the men on that. But
Yeah.
for women, we
Well,
just
because
need to
men are
understand.
given this provider mentality, and so
Yeah.
the provider mentality, they think a lot of things may be a waste of time.
And it's not, it's feeding your soul. That,
Exactly.
that getting up in the morning and embracing and enjoying your day. I always say to people, my calendar is full, but everything is tentative. There's
Yeah.
nothing that cannot be removed in an instant,
Oh, I
and
love
and something put in its place, because I don't know what God has planned for me on any given day. He might say, look,
Absolutely.
at you need to be talking to Maria, and at which point I go, well, I can't have this meeting, so this meeting has got to be rescheduled, or you need to take a walk. Like, and so sometimes we don't listen to, you need
Yeah.
to take a walk. Sometimes we don't listen to, you need to sit by the water. Sometimes we don't listen to sip on that coffee, sit on the porch. We don't listen to take the dog for a walk. We are so consumed with
Yeah.
making money and doing that we say no to this temple. We say no to the beauty of life, which exists outside of us and inside of us.
Yeah.
So thank you for being one of those people that just really embrace the beauty around you and inside of you, and really honor that every single day.
Yeah. I love that. And I want to actually I want to add to that because this literally happened today. So we can influence other people, right? We
Absolutely.
are, we're each other's energy. So today it's a Wednesday, and I had said to Anthony, my husband, and I said, what's on your plate today? You know, obviously we work all day. And he said, well, I have this meeting and that and this. And I said, well, okay, well, I have to, do this, and I'm getting, going to be on this at 4:30. And then, so I've influenced him in his life to just do this, right? So he said, okay, well, let's go. I go, okay, let's go. Where are we going? He goes, we're going to take a drive down Lakeshore. We're going to go to Oakville to the water. So Anthony said that to me. So we're driving, and then we went and we took pictures of the seagulls and pictures. That's what we did today. We went out for lunch, and we just had that day so that we could be of better service, because we've given to ourselves and our souls. And so you can do so much better when you give. You have to have those conversations with Mother Nature. You have to get grounded. If it's a little bit too chilly, you can't ground your feet on the, your bare feet on the grass. Go and breathe in the vitamin D. And so we did that just today on a Wednesday during the day, and I thought,
wonderful.
That feeds my soul. I'll be so much more productive tomorrow because I did this today. That's the most important thing, right? And it's not about do. It's about, it is about the energy that you are, that's going to manifest what you want, not how much you're exerting that energy of like trying. It's living, it's believing, it's manifesting things from that level. So I love that.
Absolutely. And if we have to fill up ourselves first before we can give to anybody. And if we want to give, we've got to have something to give. We can't be running on empty.
We have to have an overflow.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah. Well, listen, Diane, it's so wonderful talking to you. I'm sure our viewers would have questions that they're going to ask in the chat. Send us your link for your blog.
Yeah.
So we could add that to our chat, and people can know how to talk to you and share with you and share in all that you have to offer.
Thank you so much. This is so much fun.
We are out of time, but thank you so much for taking time to be with us. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for sharing all this information.
It's a pleasure.
It's really wonderful.
Have a great day, Diane.
You too. Thank you both.
You're welcome.
Bye.